Hello everybody, JayborinoPlays here, coming back at you with another HeptaCraft replay. Now, I did do a bunch of live streaming of HeptaCraft. There is another tournament coming up next weekend that I may cast. Gotta check my schedule, but I hope I'm able to join that one. It's the weekend of July 4th. I'll give you some more information. It's coming close by. I've gotten a few replays from frequent HeptaCraft players, so I'm excited to cast these. In the upper right here, we have the blue Infested player, soLo. We did watch soLo play some skilled Infested in the past. Also, I believe the Infested race has gotten some rework. I believe this is the old Infested, and as soon as I get a replay with the new Infested, I'll show them to you. And then in the bottom left, we have Rain. So we do have a mirror matchup here. But the thing about HeptaCraft, there isn't really a real set meta yet, so I'm hoping to see some interesting plays against these two players. I was sent this being told that it was a macro game, so it will be longer than we're used to. A lot of those live casted games from the tournament were pretty short because people really wanted that small prize pool, and that's the thing about the HeptaCraft tournaments. There are prizes to win, monetary prizes, relatively small, but they're still there. So we saw people playing short, aggressive games, whereas some of these replays we might see something a little different. So I do have the production tabs up, and what do we have coming out? We have a Roach Warren here coming out from Rain down here. I'm going to get these players confused because they're both playing the same. soLo, in the past, when we saw him playing Infested, we saw him going fast Roaches into air with that soaring roost and then getting Corruptors. Corruptors for the Infested do attack both ground and air. They're sort of like a harassment flying unit. They are not the same Corruptors that you're used to from Starcraft 1. Now, if you're unfamiliar with your Infested, they are kind of like Zerg. I mean, they're Zergy. They look like Zerg, right? But they're very much Zerg in the idea that you build tons and tons and tons of cheap units and throw them at your opponent. Now, in the bottom left, we have some really, really good creep spread coming out from Rain, trying to spread these creep tumors out as far as you can go using the egg clusters as well. I don't know if those generate creep, but the egg clusters are the supply generating structures for the Infested. Your Broodmother actually lays down all of your buildings as well as all of your units. So you can just do as much as you want production-wise as long as you have the money. Now, we do have an early expansion coming out here from soLo. No early expansion from Rain, but Rain does have tons and tons of creep pushing across the map. He threw down an egg cluster here, possibly just to give him some extra vision in case this creep goes away, but also just maybe to start walling down this ramp. I'm not sure if both players know that they're playing Infested. I do believe when they started, they were both able to see what each other has picked. So Rain saw soLo was Infested, soLo saw that Rain was Infested. So I don't believe I've ever seen one of Rain's games, so we'll see how he performs as Infested. He's taking his expansion now, although he's reasonably behind soLo's expansion here. And here we go, we have some Roach on Roach action. These Roaches are not Roaches as you're used to. As you can see, they only have 45 health. They do have 1 armor, but when you have Roach v Roach here, it's kind of an interesting matchup because they are fairly even, but they're very, very cheap units. They're not Roachlings either, because Roachlings are melee and also much worse than these, but they're not really quite Roaches either. Normal Roaches from Legacy of the Void have a lot more health. So Rain trying to get as much scouting information as he can just from his last Roach before getting picked off there. And again, very, very good creep spread by Rain. He has a lot of map vision here, so if soLo wanted to come around with like a small Roach group to try to sneak in, he would not be able to get even close to this ramp or this ramp without being seen, so Rain would be able to know if soLo is coming for him. Broodhive, second Broodhive coming up from Rain, about finishing. Meanwhile, soLo having his up, but only saturated with 4 workers. So what's the income look like for both of these players? soLo is ahead by a reasonable amount only because he's got his second base set up right here. And what was Rain able to see from his little scouting excursion? He did see everything, but let's see, is anything new coming out from soLo in the meantime? No. And it looks like we do have some Roaches, I want to call them Roachlings, but they are Roaches moving across the map, pushing up here, might be able to destroy some of these egg clusters. Rain realizing they've got some early aggression here from soLo, maybe trying to wall this up with egg clusters. Egg clusters fairly cheap again there. They're just the supply structures for Infested, so you can use those for cheap walling. And they do spawn those the little Baneling Swarm, which is quite interesting. These Roaches are technically light, so the Baneling Swarm going to do pretty good against those. So instead of Broodlings, you do have those little mini Banelings that spawn, which is very, very cool. HeptaCraft, there is a really big emphasis taken away from the macro mechanics of your town halls, and instead you have a lot of defense. So Infested, specifically with those spawning Banelings, you might think, oh, that seems really, really overpowered. But we did see it didn't do a huge amount of damage, but it could really turn the tide in these early engagements, so it does encourage players to go for a bit more of a long haul when it comes to HeptaCraft, which is very, very cool. So we have Roaches from both players. Anything interesting coming up from both? What do we have here? Glial Reconstitution coming up from soLo, Roach Speed. We have one Ravager being built by Rain as well, and it looks like soLo trying to come up the top side here to maybe push into Rain's base, but Rain, again, knows that he's here. He can see him right here, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen between these two players right here. No, we have one Ravager out from Ran, and I'm not sure what soLo's trying to do here. Looks like he thought maybe he'd turn around and fight, but now realizing he has to get out. Cannot stand up against these Ravagers. Ravagers, once they're morphed, do have 125 health and do a little bit of extra damage, which is great, versus Armored right there. So soLo trying to get away with his current roaches. Both players with reasonable creep spread, though Rain covering, I would say, almost a third of the map with creep right now, which is giving him such a huge advantage. soLo meeting up with his other group of roaches, and Rain kind of securing his advantage in those early battles and leaving. Though it's hard to say. I mean, Rain did lose a reasonable amount of roaches when he tried to push into soLo, so I would say both players are fairly equal. soLo producing a reasonable amount here, going straight into that Soaring Roost. Gleo Reconstitution now just coming up from Rain, but soLo with that Soaring Roost. And I'm not sure if Rain will be ready for this. He needs some anti-air for sure. What does he have going on down here? He did get a Guardian Worm here. This is just your standard defensive structure. Can attack air and ground. 250 health and 1 armor plus 35 damage. Not bad, and he's totally walled off here. But I don't think he has any idea that this Soaring Roost is here. No, he has no idea. So Rain is going to have a rude awakening when he sees Corruptors raining down on him. So what is Agile Tentacles? Increases Corruptor movement and turning speed. That's wonderful. Turn speed actually is part of HeptaCraft, so you can take that into account. A lot of MOBAs use turn speed as part of the mechanics, whereas Starcraft 2, everything, I believe, has near instant turn speed. As to say, there's no delay. If something attacks it from behind, they will turn and shoot immediately. There's no 0.5-second turnaround time as they attack them. There was actually a tooltip I saw for HeptaCraft at one point that said they're Gorgon battle cruisers, but they turn slowly, so if you can hit them from behind, you can have a huge advantage. Here are the Corruptors. I'm curious to see where they're going to go. He's probably going to run these down, all the way down to the bottom right, and then left over. soLo with an also reasonably large amount of roaches right here, and it looks like Infested spawn attack coming out from Rain. Rain looks like he's focusing on a Roach Ravager composition. Again, it's not the same Roach Ravager as you would expect. Here come the Corruptors, though flying over that creep, which Rain has absolutely filled the map. I would say over half the map, half of the land map of Rain covered by creep. He has total vision, which is really, really excellent. Here come those Corruptors. These Feederlings have to get out of here right away. We do have a Guardian Worm going to do its best, but these Corruptors going to be able to snipe that. We have Corruptors from Rain as well, though. And it looks like with the help of that Guardian Worm, going to chase away soLo's Corruptors right there. soLo maybe trying to follow up with these Roachlings, Roaches, what have you, across the map. Maybe going to follow up. Now that he's seen what Rain has, he's going to try to burst up this ramp. It is walled in, but he may be able to circumvent it. The big issue for him is he needs some sort of detection to get rid of these creep tumors. Now, I don't know if it's in place of this game yet, but I know Summerloud has added a flying detector unit for Infested. It was something that they notably lacked, that we saw them lacking in the tournament where we had Nerazim drops going down on Infested, and the only thing they had to detect at the time were Guardian Worms. So you have to be a little careful with that, and if he could get some detection out to get rid of these creep tumors to just take away some of Rain's vision. Rain just having huge, huge amounts of vision. He can see, let's see, so Rain, again, he can see, I would say, near half the map, if not over half the map, with his creep tumors right now. It's very, very incredible. So we have a bit of a lag here between any fighting. We also have Agile Tentacles coming out from Rain so that his Corruptors can match soLo's Corruptors. soLo, though, having 15 Corruptors ready to send these across the map. And what does Rain have to fight against these? He has Corruptors of his own, not quite as many. He has 12, but he also has these Ravagers, which may be able to attack air. There we go, 15 Corruptors coming out from Rain total against 15 of soLo. But what is soLo really working on right now? Looks like mostly upgrades and a Plague Boil. I don't know what this is, and I will check into it. Infestation looks like an upgrade structure of some sort. Allows you to get Infestors and Infestor upgrades. Pathogen Glands, and then Neural Parasite. We'll see what's up with that. And both players creep. They're passing each other. The creep tumors just hanging out happily next to each other. All they do is generate creep. They don't have to be enemies. They can be friends just hanging out. The entire map covered in creep. The only place left is up here, and it's about to be covered as Rain takes it. So we do have a large macro map. Very interesting, though, is that both players can pretty much see each other coming from any direction at any time. You may be able to sneak some Corruptors up and around, but it would be tricky. What is this right here? The Scrutinizer. This is the flying detector unit, and it can suck creep. Attaches to a creep tumor and gains near instant life regeneration, but loses its ability to move. That's pretty neat. Here comes that group of 15 Corruptors coming down here to the main base of Rain. soLo trying to sneak in and get these Feederlings, and we know for sure that Rain can see this due to that creep spread, but we'll see how fast he's going to react. I can see he's moving his Corruptors down now. He has an equal number of Corruptors, plus those Ravagers might be able to get in some Corrosive Bile. Never mind, he doesn't have Corrosive Bile research. Can they attack air? Ravagers can attack air, and here we go, Corruptor v. Corruptor. There was an equal number here. Rain having the defender's advantage for sure as he's bringing the Ravagers in and scaring soLo away. Nothing else happening across the map right now, but we have a large amount of roaches right now, and what is this right here? A plague host. So we have seen brood hosts in the past. This is a plague host. I assume this is a flying version of the brood host. So it's basically like a Zerg carrier. And it spawns these locusts instead, and I'm curious to see these in action. I assume that's very similar to a brood host. I assume these maybe were built from the... Well, they weren't built from the plague boil. Nothing gets built from buildings. Everything comes from the brood mothers. It looks like soLo out for blood now. Finally moving out with his scrutinizer so that he can get rid of Rain's excellent creep spread, and now he's removing his vision, which is great. And he's replacing it with his own creep as well. So we have a large group from soLo. The thing about this right now, though, is that Rain knows exactly where this army is. I mean, he won't for long, but perhaps he wants to try to inch out. He just had to destroy one of his own egg clusters so he could get out with his large group here. Maybe leading with the air game right now. He does have 16... 20 Corruptors compared to soLo's. However many does soLo have? soLo only has 12, and perhaps 1 or 2 more rallying up right now. So we do have more Corruptors. Yeah, 7 Corruptors coming out from soLo right now, and looks like he's getting his ground and air upgrades. I'm not sure what acid glands are. Adds damage over time to Corruptor's attack. That seems great. So Corruptors at the very beginning of the game, there's that large group coming out from soLo. Not really comparable to Mutalisks. They don't have a bouncing attack, and they're slower. They don't have rapid regeneration. But with their upgrades, it seems like they become much better than Mutalisks. So you can go into a heavy Corruptor build, but they still don't have bounce, so they may still get taken out by a large group of ground units that can attack air. It looks like Rain, seeing this attack coming in, going to try to intercept soLo as soon as he can. Maybe wants to try to move some of his feederlings out there. Seeing that Guardian Worm getting scared away. And Rain, out for blood, trying to chase down these Corruptors. What do we have here? Reasonable amount of Corruptors here. This is 22 Corruptors v... Oh, I don't know, 2019 Corruptors. So, Rain with a slight air advantage, but we do have a huge ball of roaches here, and I wouldn't say that Rain's ball of roaches is quite the same. Trying to chase down soLo's Corruptors right here. These two players' armies fairly comparable, fairly close in supply right now, nearly maxed out. Both these players are probably going to want to start considering to upgrade their supply from their egg clusters. This is something every faction can do in HeptaCraft. If you check this egg cluster, we've got a raised supply cap to 230. I believe it goes slightly over 3. It might be 320 is the total cap. It costs a lot of money, but obviously if you're at that point in the game, like soLo right now with a huge amount of cash stockpiled, not quite enough gas, but he could upgrade his supply cap, and there he is actually right there, raising his supply cap to 230. And what do we have from both players? We have, there must be more. I believe this is a Terrazine upgrade for Infested, which basically allows your brood hosts and your, what's it called again, plague hosts to have even more locusts that they shoot out right now. And it looks like both players trying to strategically position themselves, but the thing is, at this point, both players can see each other. They know where each other's armies are, so they're going to be very, very tentative to attack. Actually, I think Rain... No, now he's moving into the creep tumors, and he can be seen. But obviously, it seems like those little instigators, or whatever they're called, but not instigators, plague hosts. Nope, not plague hosts either. Never mind, we have a large battle right now, and looks like a fungal growth going down of some sort right here, and let's see this plague host and see what it can do. It is shooting out these little guys. We have a corrosive bile coming out from Rain, and we do have infested drops coming in, which I'll go over here in a brief moment. But it looks like soLo losing the air game, but losing the ground game. Now, what's going to happen here? The thing is, these roaches cannot tilt their heads up and attack air, so even though he won the ground game, Rain cleaning up soLo's Corruptors and able to probably chase down the rest of these roaches, probably realizing he doesn't even have to, and can start wiping out these outer expansions of soLo. So very well played there by Rain, and soLo saying, I have enough money to reinforce, immediately going back in, going to try to save his base, coming in with a huge amount of roaches at this point, and both players able to reinforce very, 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 very fast. soLo having a huge amount of minerals right now, and it looks like both players are about even on bases. What's their income? Their income is near even for this point in the game, so it's mostly that Rain is spending his money slightly more efficiently than soLo right now. And here goes both players again. It looks like Rain having more Corruptors than soLo at this point. Gonna win the ground game again, and then there's that Infested drop again. Infested drop, able to spawn Banelings pretty much anywhere on the map you have vision. That is your Town Hall defensive ability. And there we go. You see all of those roaches get wiped out by well-placed Banelings. And we saw that in the tournament as well. But So on top of the infested drops between both players, regardless, Rain coming out on top with a corruptor advantage, allowing him to clean this up quickly. He might be able to chase down this Plague Host. These are quite expensive. I'm curious to see more of these Plague Hosts in action, perhaps later in the game, to see what exactly they can do. And there go these the Locust, and again, this functions like a carry. You can see how much damage that does, especially once you upgrade its Locust capacity with that Terrazine upgrade. Very, very incredible. I'd like to maybe see another one of those to see what the other upgrades are, because I truly have no idea. I've not really taken the time to see everything, and it looks like here we go. soLo trying to birth a bunch of roaches to defend this. You can say as long as you have one broodmother there, the broodmothers themselves don't have an attack, but you can scare your opponents away by saying, I have 1,000,000 units coming out right now, you better leave. And by doing so, he did save his outer facing base right here. Rain with the vision and with the macro game right now, able to remax, while soLo having money but not gas, not quite able to reinforce his units perhaps as fast as he would like with other than roaches, and as we've seen, his roaches get cleaned up. So now I can take some time to show you, not only can you spawn banelings with 75 energy from your town hall here, which spits a baneling out in a reasonably small circle. You can vaguely see it here on the map around the brood hive, but this drop pods, it does cost money and gas and 200, which is your entire stockpile of energy on your town hall. So there is a balance there in that you have to plan to use this. But you can see, delivers infested forces to any visible location on the battlefield, which contains 3 roaches, but the real kicker is 2 banelings. So you can basically drop banelings anywhere. Might seem overpowered, but these roaches are cheap. If a bunch get taken out by banelings, frankly, it's not that big of a deal. Both these players have so many minerals saved up. It's really this air game. We've seen Rain win the air game over and over again. Well, really 2 or 3 times at this point. But once again, I think he still has more corruptors at this point, going to move in. These corruptors do still morph into broodlords, but I really don't think either player wants to do that, considering, wow, we have very, very fast roaches. I'm really not sure what's causing them to move so fast. He is able to chase down Rain. That is crazy. What is giving him this speed upgrade? What is that? Frenzy, Angel Spell. Okay, there's the Angel. We've got a little Kerrigan right there. I've never seen one, and there's a really, really interesting take. We have Rain again with an advantage on the air, and it looks like we have the banelings getting called down. A huge, huge ground advantage by soLo, but even more roaches coming in from Rain. And Rain pulling back, though I think he realized he was getting hurt on the ground here, but possibly not necessary. We do have Ravagers coming out, though, and if Rain can clean up these Corruptors, but the Ravagers with the Corrosive Biome may be able to clean this up. We do have a Plague Host out from Rain as well, and this seems fairly even in the air to me, but ground game soLo's cleaning up all of these roaches from Rain. And the big issue is these Ravagers turning the tide in the air game. Rain getting cleaned up, mostly because those Ravagers able to tilt their head up after they spent some time in a cocoon. They were able to finally look up and shoot. And I really want to take some time to look at these Angels to see what they can do, but the main thing is that Frenzy Spell increases movement and attack speed for 20 seconds. That is casting that on all those roaches and those Corruptors, allowing him to chase down a lot of the Corruptors of soLo. soLo now taking all of these extra roaches that he built there. I'm going to try to take out a base of Rain's. Not too many Feederlings saturating this, so I wouldn't say this is a huge get, but regardless, the time it takes to rebuild that right there is near staggering at this point in the game, as both players pretty even on bases. What's the income like right now? soLo actually about 50% higher in terms of income. That is a pretty large difference, more than 50% I'd say at this point. Wow, and I'd love to take some time to go through more of these upgrades that I've never seen before. Acid Glands, we've seen that before, increases the Corruptor damage, which is really, really nice and can help you win that air game. It seemed like these Ravagers, though, with the 3/3 upgrades for soLo, really able to turn the tide. We have 2/2. We have 2/2 from Rain, 3/3 not in the pipes. We do have deep tunneling coming. What does this allow you to do? Enables roaches, banelings, and Ravagers to burrow and move while burrowed. So keep in mind, banelings moving while burrowed seems super overpowered, but it's very, very slow. We did see a little bit of it in a previous match. We do have 2 Plague Hosts, though, here from soLo. We do have these brood drops coming in there. Those banelings going to clean some stuff up. It's kind of hard to tell who's winning right here, and I really like to think that these Plague Hosts are probably turning the tide. Yes, absolutely. I would say Rain is definitely winning the air game. Where are those Ravagers? They may have already gotten taken out. And no, the Ravagers are still in there. They're slowly pecking away at these air units, but it looks like Rain winning the air game. Tons of infested drops coming in, and just roaches dying left and right to small amounts of banelings. No banelings are actually being built by players at this point. And here come the Locusts trying to come in and save their bases. soLo smartly splitting his roaches, saying if you want to defend this, you have to split your own units, otherwise you're going to lose something here. And able to hold on to one of these bases. These Corruptors, as you can see, having trouble to cleaning up large amounts of small units right here. And then those Plague Hosts as well that he's going to have to turn and try to take these out as well. And because that deep tunneling is done, soLo could burrow these and run them away if they so choose. And there are those Banelings, that defensive Banelings. This is a very interesting mirror matchup because both players can counter each other so well with anti-light units. Those Roaches just super cannon fodder. And here we go, soLo trying to get aggressive and take this upper left base, but Rain here going to chase down this Broodmother and then also probably turn on and get this Brood Hive. And it looks like more Corruptors out from soLo coming around. Going to try to perhaps save this base. How many Corruptors do we have here? 11. Wow, compared to 14 of Rain. So both players, it looks like Rain getting 6 more Corruptors. We have 1 Plague Host, 2 more Corruptors coming out for soLo. And what is this Organic Carapace? Life regeneration and adds +1 armor to Roaches. And as we see, soLo generally winning the ground game, but as Rain keeps winning the air game, he's able to wipe out things on the ground. But if he can keep those Roaches alive just a little bit longer, they will be just absolutely excellent. So Ravagers are a lot of gas. That's why we're not seeing too many of them, but those can turn the tide. And we have another slight engagement coming out here. It's possible that these Plague Hosts are really going to change the fight here. And oh my dear, we just saw a Parasitic Bomb going down. Oh, he hit the Corruptor, and soLo with the micro pulling that Corruptor out. Got to keep him away from stopping his other Corruptor. And yeah, these Plague Hosts are great because not only do they have that procreation ability with the Locust, but further, that Parasitic Bomb can turn the tide by getting rid of all of these Corruptors. And here we go, we also have a Brood Host, or a Plague Host, excuse me, out by soLo. Not enough energy for any of this stuff though, so I'm curious to see how these players want to fight each other. They're just on each other's door. They can both see each other, I believe, or at least Rain can see soLo. I don't believe soLo at this point can see where Rain is. Rain going to try to take this upper left base. This upper left base has been contended for the entire match so far. This is pretty intense, though, honestly. It just takes one all-out battle where one player refuses to leave, and at which point they'll either win or lose, and that could change the game. But this is a really, really great macro game, even though it's a mirror matchup. And it really comes down to Corruptor v. Corruptor, honestly. But to see the ground battle happen, to see how those infested drops can be used to wipe out different portions of Roaches is very, very helpful. Not to mention how much money players tend to put into Ravagers, which can make a big difference. soLo only now getting Corrosive Bile. So that could or could not be helpful. I would argue that the Ravagers without Corrosive Bile were able to turn the tide a lot in battles prior to this. We have some Broodlords coming out, though I don't know. Again, I feel like Rain, if he focuses on sticking with his anti-air game, he may not really need Broodlords with anti-ground, and it looks like soLo going to try to sneak up and retake this upper left base again. Rain can see this with his creeps red, so it looks like he's reacting with his units up here, going to try to catch up. And here comes soLo, going to try to pick off this Brood Hive while it's still building, but Rain arrives just in time. 4 Plague Hosts, probably going to help smash through a lot of these buildings. And what is happening here? Oh, confusion. Plague Hosts also having confusion, using it on those enemy Roaches right here. And Rain able to... Well, I don't want to preemptively say it, but Rain able to clean this up. But his entire ground force is gone. The Corruptors, you can see how long it takes them to clean up these Roaches, though. The Roaches have been upgraded with that Organic Carapace, which helps a lot. And there's the Broodlord. I really, really enjoy how the units have been scaled. How the units have been scaled in HeptaCraft. So, like, capital ships feel like capital ships. They are huge, like these Plague Hosts, like these Broodlords, like the Brood Hosts on the ground. And wow, and as you can see, that Roach upgrade, even with this amount of Corruptors, with the air advantage, soLo realized if I can get my Roaches upgraded, they will still survive even under heavy fire to just move in and pick off bases from Rain. So Rain is slowly losing income, as we can see soLo winning income by almost not quite double, but by a large amount. Another outlying base going down to Roaches. soLo investing so much money into these Roaches, into their upgrades. Now they're so cheap to build, and they're upgraded well enough that this huge air advantage by Rain cannot clean these Roaches up before they pick off bases, and that is giving soLo a huge macro advantage. He's mining out all these outlying bases. He himself is running out of money, but as long as he can hold to his 5th and 6th base right here, these have a reasonable amount of cash left, which can secure him the game. Rain perhaps realizing, I can't hold on to my outlying bases. I think I need to start moving out. And here comes soLo moving in. Parasitic Bomb going down. Who is that even on? I believe that's on soLo. Wow, that was a big Parasitic Bomb. All of soLo's Corruptors going down. No friendly fire there. And that was an excellent Parasitic Bomb right there. Rain holding on, even though soLo having really good harassment, taking out 2 bases of Rain and being way ahead in the macro game. But we'll see what soLo can do here. He's short on gas. It looks like he's taking some roaches here. Going to try to sneak in and try to pick other things off because that's what he's been so effective at so far. But with the amount of corruptors here, 3 plague hosts and a broodlord, and as long as he can keep a corruptor advantage over soLo, he's probably going to be able to hold on to the air advantage here. We have a 3rd level broodmother right here. That's where all your tech is. You can't let her die. It looks like she's going to picked off. And there is an upgrade you can get that costs Terrazine later that removes the level requirement for broodmothers. But as long as you don't have that, if you lose your level 3 broodmother, you have to level them up again. Rain picking off a base up here, soLo retaking the upper left base. This is so back and forth. I honestly think it's anyone's game right now because soLo did have a lot of money, but he did lose his outlying bases. I was just saying his 5th and 6th base he needed to keep up. That was where all of his money was. And I would argue Rain now, huge supply advantage. There's no way I don't think that soLo has enough money to catch back up. And I think that's going to be it for soLo because he has no income. He's trying to take this upper left base, but Rain can see it with these 2 creep tumors right here. And it's interesting when you have this mirror matchup where you're not entirely sure whether this is your creep or the enemy's creep. So it's possible soLo. I mean, he also doesn't have one of those units that gives him vision to get rid of this. And there we go. There's that Town Hall finishing for soLo, but Rain going to be able to clean it up, and I would say put the nail in the coffin for this game. Very, very close for a long time, a very long time. soLo doing so well, taking out those outlying bases. But if anything, I think that sort of aggravated Rain, and he sent his air units to go out and take out the 2 main mining bases of soLo's, which turned the tide. I would say those 2 bases going down was pretty much the nail in the coffin, and soLo desperately trying to take this upper left base. But I would say that was the most entertaining mirror matchup in HeptaCraft that I've watched. That was very, very cool. And I look forward to casting more HeptaCraft. I do have more replays. I did get another replay of these 2 players playing different races, so I may go ahead and cast that as well and release it fairly soon. But this was a great match, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time. Bye now.